The law of the harvest is simply this: you always reap what you sow, you always reap it where you sow it, you always reap more than you sow, and you always reap it after you sow. Let me break down the law of the harvest for you and explain it, because this has everything to do with the actions that you're about to take. Number one, because I just gave you 4 points. Number one is this: you always reap what you sow. Kindergartners all know this, that if you put an apple seed in the ground, you're going to reap apples, not oranges, not bananas. You're always going to reap what you sow. But the strange thing is, when we get to adulthood, we forget that this law of the harvest is a truth that literally applies to every area of life. We somehow think that we can sow in work and sow in finance and then reap with our family. This is why business guys notoriously say something like, I don't know why my family doesn't know I love them. I work all these hours to buy and provide them all these things. Well, here's why. You always reap what you sow. And so in order to reap something with the family, you've got to put effort of sowing in with the family. You always reap what you sow. And this is going to be true in every area of every dream that you have in all of life. Because the harvest, again, it is a law that applies to every area of life. The second fact is this: you don't only reap what you sow, you always reap it where you sow it. Now this is highly linked to the first point. All of these connect together. So if we plant those apples in this field right here, we're going to reap the apples in this field here, not in the field 2 streets over, not in the field in an area of some other dream that we have. We always reap it where we sow it. So that means if your goal is to grow a business, you've got to put the effort there. You can't just put the effort somewhere else and expect it to show up here. I was surprised initially, but then it kind of clicked and it made sense to me. How many want to be business builders would miss every single training opportunity that we would have for seemingly any reason? Sometimes it would be something they needed to do with the kids. That might be a legitimate reason. Sometimes it would just be because they're tired. They just wanted to take the week off. But then they would complain that their business wasn't growing, that it didn't seem to work. And I would say to them, no. You always reap what you sow, and you always reap it where you sow it. In order to reap something in business, you've got to sow something in business. In order to reap something in any area of your life, you've actually got to do the actions in that area of life, because it is a law of the harvest. Nothing just kind of automatically comes your way. You always reap what you sow, where you sow. The third point is this: you always reap more than you sow. So if I asked you, said, hey, I'll give you your choice. You can have one single apple, or I'll give you a truck full of seedless apples. Which one would you take? Well, the kindergartner we talked about earlier might take the truck full because it seems like more, but you would know that really that truck full of apples would be all you would ever get, the seedless ones that were bioengineered. You would know that there's not really anything natural about that, and you probably wouldn't even be able to give them all away, much less eat them before they all were no longer fresh and good. They would ruin before you could get to them. Here's why you would have chosen the other apple: because you understand that the power of the apple is in the seed itself. Every apple has, depending upon the species, 50 to 60 seeds. And each of those seeds has the potential of a full apple tree that every single year will bloom more apples, each of those apples having 50 to 60 seeds, all within them having the potential for numerous apples. In other words, the potential of just one apple is exponential because of the power of the seed that's in there. That is the law of the harvest. Now, you know this because you know that some of the, let's just say, sins and misdeeds that you've done in the past, that I've done in the past, have taken me farther off course than I wanted to go. It's extracted a bigger price than I was willing to pay. It did more damage than I ever wanted to see happen. Why? Because the power of the seed, good or bad, is exponential. Here's the good news about that, though. Paul says that where sin abounds, grace superabounds. And so we always have this thing in the front of our head that we can remember, this truth that we can rely upon, that we always reap what we sow. We always reap it where we sow it. We always reap more than. That means the great things, we're going to reap more in than. Something supernatural that's already orchestrated into how creation runs, it seems to kick in and work on our behalf. Well, there's a final point about sowing and reaping that we want to bring up, the law of the harvest. It's this: you always reap what you sow, where you sow, more than you sow, and it always happens after you sow. We live in a culture where people want microwave success. They want Instapot dreams. But the reality is, the truth is, most dreams slow cook. Most success slow cooks. It takes time.